Let us for a few moments fix our mind on the Divine Supreme and pray to Him for the peace and prosperity of the whole humanity. Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avatarvarishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to remove all our ignorance, to show us the spiritual path, to lead us to the final goal, to grant us peace and bliss. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, chapter 15. If we have to walk smoothly in our life, we should have undoubtedly a philosophic attitude. Philosophy is very important. Without that, it is very difficult to bear the unpleasant things that occur during our lifetime. Everyone will have to pass through so many crises in their life, many terrible situations. But then, if we have the philosophical approach, it makes matter very easy, and we learn through these situations rather than losing our heart. Sri Ramakrishna makes it very clear that very important factor we should remember, that things happen in the world without waiting for anybody. They do happen. Many things happen. If we observe the things, it is easy to understand how things go on in spite of ourselves. So, this view makes us very clear that we should hold on to our ideal in life, which is very important. We must try to adjust everything then we will be able to recognize the glory of God more and more. Sri Ramakrishna said, God laughs on two occasions. One is when brothers divide the property, putting the line. This portion is mine, that portion is yours. I will break your neck if you cross over this. They do break necks. God laughs. The whole creation belongs to me. These fellows are crying and fighting and quarreling. They can't take anything when they give up the body. When the death comes, everything they have to cast off. They can't take anything which they have cherished so long throughout their life with so much of attachment and so much involvement, working day and night and possessing so many things, so valuable things. Everything will have to be left over. There was one of my relations in my Purvashram, a very great Sanskrit scholar. He loved Sanskrit books. He loved. His whole room was full of books. And every day, of course, he would chant some of the texts of those books which he had kept in his room. And he has arranged them so neatly, we can see how much he loves them. And he would spend hours in his room. That room is the mandir for him. It's mandir of knowledge. Saraswati mandir. He would love to be there. And he would shed tears of joy. I had seen that person. He was very close to us. And he would not part with them. He loved them so deeply. But then, as everybody had to go, he also got some disease and he had to leave the body. All the books which he so much loved them, his whole heart was in them, all those things he had to give up, are forced to give up. So you must learn to give up. Learn to give up. That is renunciation. The more you learn to give up, the more you will be happy. You can test yourself. In Belur the Ramakrishna Mission headquarters, one day I was watching, morning, about 5 dogs on one side and the same number of dogs on the other side. They are shouting and barking ferociously as if they are about to kill each other. It was a sight to see. I was standing there and watching what these dogs do. The reason was very simple. The reason was one of the dogs strayed into the area of the other dogs. They had themselves put a boundary, territory. They should not cross. The moment, it's literally true. So, about half a kilometer away, it runs like a rocket, simply because another dog came into his territory. Just to drive him out, get out. You have no right to come here. It is my area. And the whole area belongs to Sri Ramakrishna. The dogs are quarreling. It's my area. Another instance also. All these things have got wonderful value if you understand. That's what I am telling. Develop philosophical approach. You will be very happy. Before coming here, I was in Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Gold Park in Calcutta, South Calcutta. So, one day I was walking on the terrace. It was very pleasant to walk. It's a big compound, big building. So on the terrace, you can easily walk without any problem, without any disturbance, no traffic problem, no people to disturb. Suddenly, Lot of crows are making noise. Suddenly, all of a sudden, hundreds of crows. Same reason. One of the crows entered into the area of the other group, they are fighting. Same way we are fighting in this world about the possessions, about the property, about all those things. So we look upon things in our own way. Everything should go according to what I think. Then only it is correct. Otherwise it is bad. That's our judgment. Even if it is wrong, even if it is good, I won't recognize it. So we are always confronted with likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes. That's the world. Another occasion, Bhagavan laughs. What is that? When a man is about to die, the doctor comes and tells, oh, no, I can make him alive, don't worry. I will give one shot, he will be all right. But God knows, I am taking away his life and this fellow is coming and flattering the people that he would save the life. Anyway, the point we should remember is that we are always bound to suffer as long as we hold on to this world as a real thing. Whatever religion we may follow, but the Vedantic attitude is very helpful to us. Vedantic, impersonal aspect. It's very useful. We should be always open-minded to reason. Reason. What a joy it is. What a joy it is. It removes all frustration. If you don't have reasoning, you will die out of frustration. Reasoning faculty. It's remarkably wonderful. That you will get if you show interest in Vedanta. You may follow any religion. Vedanta can be practiced by anybody, whether a Christian or a Muslim or anybody, but they are afraid. If we take Vedanta, we become Vedantins, we may forget our religion. But that fear has no grounds. Why should you fear? What do you do with that religion? Do you carry that religion when you die? Everything you have to give up. Why do you worry about that? The whole creation belongs to God. That concept, how beautiful it is. But we are quarreling. I belong to this country. I belong to this nation. I come from there. He comes from there. What is all these things? We are all in this world. We are to live in this world happily. That's all. Now, as long as we have not realized God or the truth, this world and everything is illusory. It is not permanent. Now what we see in this world is that people believe unreal to be real. That is the root cause of all our miseries. Because they are believing the unreal to be real, it leads them to forget God, to ignore the divine power which is behind everything. In that process, they fasten to the world with the tie of I and mine. I am very important. My first name is so important. Please call me by first name. Otherwise he will die. Because he is so much identified with his individuality. He doesn't want to give up that. He's terribly afraid. He can give up everything probably. He doesn't want to give up himself. God comes only when you give everything. You must give up everything. Never hold on to anything. Then God will be yours. So, thinking this unreal world as real, it leads them to further. What is that? They become terribly attached to the things. Once the attachment comes, It sinks them down and down. There is no rising up, going down. You become heavy. You become very heavy. Heaviness is due to attachment. So, you sink deeper and deeper into the abyss of Maya. What next? They become blind. They become blind, as it were. Even though they have got eyes to see, they can't see. They can't get out of the meshes of Maya, even when the way lies open. That is the most horrible aspect. Sri Ramakrishna gives wonderful examples. The whole gospel is full of anecdotes and examples and so nicely written, so soothing and remarkably wonderful. There Sri Ramakrishna gives an example of, there's a trap for catching the fish. The fishes come there, lured by the food. But the way is always open, yet the fish do not get out of it. Then the next step follows. They will be eaten by the people. In the same way, the caterpillar shuts itself up in its own cocoon and perishes. So also, we are going downward in this world. Even though the way is open, we are not able to see it, because we don't have Vedantic approach, we don't have philosophy. So whatever we think and see through our senses, we consider them to be real. So Sri Ramakrishna has notified all these things. We are all sadhakas. You must not forget that. So let us view the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna as sadhakas, as the spiritual aspirants. Then you will appreciate the immense value of these teachings. After telling this, Sri Ramakrishna tells, so why are you hugging to this unreal world? Why are you hugging? Give it up. He is telling in very clear terms, that is, giving up, renunciation. Renunciation is essential to realize God. Let us not forget this truth. You may be a householder, you may be in 10-story building, yet you must develop renunciation. Unless you have that renunciation, the vision of God is far away. Renunciation means you renounce everything for the sake of God. You want God, nothing but God. That's the meaning of renunciation. Again, Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. Suppose you have kept rice pot on the oven. After some time the rice gets boiled. To test whether it is properly cooked, you take out one grain from it and press it between your fingers. Then you will know by touching it whether it is soft or little hard. You will be able to judge yourself properly. So, you would not surely press each and every grain of rice. You just take one grain and you will make judgment. You will know the condition of the rice. By testing only a few grains, you will know everything. So also, you can know whether the world is real or unreal, eternal or ephemeral, existent or non-existent, by examining 2 or 3 objects in it. Observation is very important. That is, let us not become blind. Man is born, lives for some days, and then dies. How true it is? Every day this phenomenon is going on, all the time. So too are animals and trees. They are born, live and die. So we should discriminate, and we should come to know that the same is the fate of all beings endowed with name and form, even of the earth, sun and moon. Everything has got an end. So we should try to understand the nature of all things in the world. Then we come to know that the world is not really real, it is ephemeral. So what? We should not cling to it anymore. We will renounce it from the mind and become free from all desires. The desires are the troubleshooters. When we succeed in this act of renunciation, we come close to God and realize Him. When we succeed in the act of renunciation, we like to come more and more towards God, the object of our meditation. We become close to Him. We are not satisfied with anything else. We feel satisfaction only in realizing Him. That idea becomes very strong and we give whole attention towards that. And now Sri Ramakrishna tells another very important point which all of us should remember, that same thing has been said in many ways. Sri Ramakrishna tells it's very difficult to practice spiritual disciplines and at the same time lead a householder's life. What does it mean? It means householder life means, comparatively speaking, there are many hurdles, difficulties, obstructions, so many things. Disease, grief, poverty, misunderstanding with the partner, husband or wife, and disobedient, stupid and stubborn children, and so on. All these are listed under householder's life. But then there is no way. Sri Ramakrishna tells, still there is a way. There is a way if you want to have it. Otherwise it's not visible. If you say I am a grihi, I can't do anything, then what can be done? If you take that stand, I can't do anything, that means you want to die, not doing anything. It's a desperation. So Sri Ramakrishna tells there is a way, in spite of all these things, there is a way. What is that? Pray to God. Prayer. Nothing like prayer. Come and sit before God and pray. Go to spiritual environment. Spiritual environment is very important. Spiritual environment, wherein when you come, you feel a kind of soothing effect. You find, when you come there, indrawn. That feeling of calmness you will get when you come to spiritual environment. So you must go to spiritual environment frequently and then make efforts to realize God. Make efforts. Then only God's grace will be upon us. That means we will be able to recognize God's grace when we are putting forth little effort. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, company of holy men is very much needed. That is, who is holy man? Who is to be considered as a holy man? He who is living spiritual life. He is considered as a holy man. That will help us greatly. What is needed is to make the mind strong. The mind has become weakened because of our repeated births and deaths in this world, because of our wrong understanding of the things, because considering the world to be unreal, considering the world to be real, all these things have weakened the mind. So spirituality is possible only when you strengthen the mind. Mind, of course, it rebels. The moment we want to make it behave, it reacts. It may refuse to fix itself on the object of meditation. But we have to pass through all these initial troubles. Nothing is easy. We should not at all worry over this. We should go on telling our beads morning and evening, even though the mind wanders, even though the mind is running everywhere, still I sit and repeat God's name, Japam. It has got tremendous value. Sri Ramakrishna tells it has got tremendous value. We should never give it up. And there is no reason to despair either. In time, everything will come out all right. Everything will come out all right. Our mind may not settle always on our object of worship, but it must get settled for some time at least, maybe once in 15 minutes. That should be enough. So, the third important point which Sri Ramakrishna is telling us is to make our mind strong. Strong. Let us not weaken the mind anymore. Going towards the world means weakening the mind. Going towards God means strengthening the mind. That's all. So with these few words, I conclude my talk, my comments on the previous class. Now I will read some passages and then I invite questions. We have got cordless mic, so it will be inaugurated today. That was donated by Houston devotees. When I mentioned that, immediately one devotee came for Swamiji, that will be our gift. It is personal gift, not by the center. Wholeheartedly he has given that. It is very costly, no doubt. It's $525 for that equipment. But the joy, with what joy he is giving. See, there is joy in giving. When you are getting joy in giving, that means you are succeeding in renunciation. That's the point. Very good. Now, page number 327. Neighbor asked a question. What is discrimination? Sri Ramakrishna said, discrimination is a reasoning by which one knows that God alone is real and all else is unreal. Real means eternal and unreal means impermanent. He who has acquired discrimination knows that God is the only substance and all else is non-existent. With the awakening of this spirit of discrimination, a man wants to know God. On the contrary, if a man loves the unreal, such things as creature comforts, name, fame and wealth, then he doesn't want to know God, who is of the very nature of reality. Through discrimination between the real and the unreal, one seeks to know God. Listen to a song. Come, let us go for a walk, O mind, to Kali, the wish-fulfilling tree, and there beneath it gather the four fruits of life. Of your two wives, dispassion and worldliness, bring along dispassion only on your way to tree, and ask her son discrimination about the truth. By turning the mind within oneself, one acquires discrimination, and through discrimination one thinks of truth. Then the mind feels the desire to go for a walk to Kali, the wish-fulfilling tree. Reaching that tree, that is to say, going near to God, you can, without any effort, gather four fruits, namely Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Yes, after realizing God, one can also get, if one so desires, Dharma, Artha and Kama, which are necessary for leading the worldly life. The neighbor asked a question, then why should one call the world Maya? Sri Ramakrishna answered, as long as one has not realized God, one should renounce the world, following the process of neti, neti. But he who has attained God knows that it is God who has become all this. Then he says that God, Maya, living beings and the universe form one whole. God includes the universe and its living beings. Suppose you have separated the shell, flesh and seeds of a bell fruit, and someone asks you the weight of the fruit. Will you leave aside the shell and the seeds and weigh only the flesh? Not at all. To know the real weight of the fruit, you must weigh the whole of it, the shell, the flesh, and the seeds. Only then can you tell its real weight. The shell may be likened to the universe, and the seeds to living beings. While one is engaged in discrimination, one says to oneself that the universe and the living beings are non-self and unsubstantial. At that time, one thinks of the flesh alone as a substance, and the shell and seeds as unsubstantial. But after discrimination is over, one feels that all three parts of the fruit together form a unity. Then one further realizes that the stuff that has produced the flesh of the fruit has also produced the shell and seeds. To know the real nature of the bell fruit, one must know all three. It is a process of evolution and involution. The world, after its dissolution, remains involved in God, and God at the time of creation evolves as the world. Butter goes in with buttermilk, and buttermilk goes with butter. If there is a thing called buttermilk, then butter also exists. And if there is a thing called butter, then buttermilk also exists. If the self exists, then the non-self must also exist. The phenomenal world belongs to that very reality to which the absolute belongs. Again, the absolute belongs to that very reality to which the phenomenal world belongs. He who is realized as God has also become the universe and its living beings. One who knows the truth knows that it is he alone who has become father and mother, child and neighbor, man and animal, good and bad, holy and unholy, and so forth. The neighbor asked a question. Then is there no virtue and no sin? Sri Ramakrishna answered, they both exist and do not exist. If God keeps the ego in man, then he keeps in him the sense of differentiation and also the sense of virtue and sin. But in a rare few, he completely effaces the ego, and these go beyond virtue and sin, good and bad. As long as a man has not realized God, he retains the sense of differentiation and the knowledge of good and bad. You may say, virtue and sin are the same to me. I am doing only as God bids me. But you know in your heart of hearts that those are mere words. No sooner do you commit an evil deed than you feel a palpitation in your heart. Even after God has been realized, he keeps in the mind of the devotees, if he so desires, the feeling of the servant ego. In that state, the devotee says, O God, thou art the master, I am thy servant. Such a devotee enjoys only spiritual talk and spiritual deeds. It doesn't enjoy the company of ungodly people. It doesn't care for any work that is not of a holy nature. So you see that God keeps the sense of differentiation even in such a devotee. The neighbor asked, you ask us, sir, to live in the world after knowing God. Can God really be known? Sri Ramakrishna answered, God cannot be known by the sense organs or by this mind, but he can be known by the pure mind, the mind that is free from worldly desires. Then the neighbor asked, who can know God? Sri Ramakrishna answered, right. Who can really know him? But as for us, it is enough to know as much of him as we need. What need have I of a whole well of water? One jar is more than enough for me. An ant went to a sugar hill. Did it need the entire hill? A grain or two of sugar was more than enough. Neighbor said, sir, We are like typhoid patients. How can we be satisfied with one jar of water? We feel like knowing the whole of God. Sri Ramakrishna said, that's true, but there is also medicine for typhoid. Neighbor asked, what is that medicine, sir? Sri Ramakrishna said, the company of holy men, repeating the name of God and singing His glories and unceasing prayer. I prayed to the Divine Mother, Mother, I don't seek knowledge. Here, take thy knowledge, take thy ignorance. Give me only pure love for thy lotus feet. I didn't ask for anything else. As is the disease, so must the remedy be. The Lord says in the Gita, O Arjun, can one ever know God with such a mind as this? Can one pour 4 shares of milk into a 1 share pot? Can we ever know God unless He lets us know Him? Therefore I say, take shelter in God, let Him do whatever He likes. He is self-willed. What power is there in a man? That concludes this chapter. Now your turn. One by one you can give wonderful talks, questions, comments, observations. And our way of approach is we give out the spiritual ideas. Let them decide whatever they want. It is not for us to tell them you do like this, you do like that. No. The spiritual ideas are given just like scattering the seeds in the farm yard, in the field. You scatter the seeds everywhere. Wherever the land is fertile, it sprouts. Suppose it is falling on a rock, it will not do anything. That's all. My duty is to spread the message. Whoever is ready to take that message, whosoever's mind is ready to receive that message, let him take and develop his life accordingly. That's how we think about this subject. It's not that we should keep on telling about our spiritual things to people who are not qualified, etc. But the point here is there's a way of putting the ideas. We present the ideas in such a way, those who want to take them according to the fitness of their mind, they will receive it. That's how I consider them. For many people, they may not understand these ideas at all. Such people need not have to worry about these things, but they can, certainly there are so many other ways also to develop their personality. So accordingly they may choose whatever ways are open to them. But the point here is, Sri Ramakrishna's teachings are put in such a direct way, in a simple language, and supported by his own experiences, and whatever Sri Ramakrishna has said, it immediately impresses our mind. It gives a kind of awakening to us. To that extent, we feel we are blessed. I take that way. That is how I view the things. Let us not dwell upon the idea of conversion, etc. Because in the higher level, there is nothing like conversion, etc. Everything is, all the whole religion, the whole spiritual unfoldment is from within. So how that is done, that's the point. And as Sri Ramakrishna has said, God is infinite and His glories are infinite. His forms are infinite. Whatever you want to know about Him is also infinite. So, just as Sri Ramakrishna tells, the sugar, ant going to sugar, it takes 1 grain or 2 grains at the most, let him be happy. So like that, you approach God in whatever way you want to. What is needed is, what Sri Ramakrishna tells is, direct the mind to God. Don't get lost in this world. Don't hug this world and get ruin yourself. That's what Sri Ramakrishna is warning. And then according to your own faculty of mind, you will be able to realize God in whatever way you approach Him. That's what I feel. What's your comment, your observation, if you have got anything to say? That you mean to say it's a transformation. Transformation. See, the idea is we provide the opportunity for people, as I said, giving out the message, clarifying the things, what is what, etc. But finally it depends upon one's own individual mind, how far it is qualified to receive. So for some people, simply coming to temple itself is a great spirituality. So they should practice that. In course of time they will slowly understand. I am coming here since 1 year. Let me go on inside the chapel and let me sit for 2 minutes. So that extent he is developing. So it took 1 year for him to understand that he should go to the chapel and sit there for 2 minutes. Then after he does that for some sufficient length of time, then he may feel, why not I read something about, why not I try to know more about these things. Then he tries to read some of the texts. So like that. It's true. Unless the man himself wants it, you can't expect any transformation. The initial willingness must be there. At least you must know your problem. My problem is like this. So I must find out the remedy. If you are aware of that, then there is a way, there is a hope. If you are not aware of that at all, then it means it takes more time to get into that state. So transformation really takes a long time that way. And of course the holy people, sometimes Mahatmas, somehow or other by coming in contact with them, awakening comes, transformation takes place. It is because of the power of the Guru, power of the holy man, out of their infinite kindness and affection for the people, they do transform. But there also they think number of times whether it is right for me to transform his mind to make him come this way. And if they find if it is too raw, if it is too much unripe, then they allow some time. Let it get ripe and let him go through the world a little more. Let him have some more enjoyment. We shall not talk about these things now. Like that they decide upon. The controlling of ego or the bad effects of attachment, etc., they will all be taken care of if our mind loves to go towards God. Attachment to God is not considered as attachment in the sense we use that word towards the things of the world. Attachment to God is not attachment at all. By cherishing love towards God and by your devotional practices, your mind gets purified. Purification of the mind means to get rid of egoistic attitude, to behave in a humble way, etc. Sometimes the spiritual pride may come. See, so many people are showing me respect and I have been able to have some kind of peace in my heart. So in the corner of your heart you may think that you have achieved something very great, and it may be very great, but that pride may come. But Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, one must completely free from ego, then only God occupies the heart. And Sri Ramakrishna again tells, as long as we are in this world, it is not easy to get rid of that ego, in spite of our so much desire to get rid of it. We know the ego is causing lot of problems, lot of troubles, fresh problems, fresh troubles. All these things are created by ego. So Sri Ramakrishna again gives a suggestion there. If that ego has to remain, let it remain like a servant ego. God is a master, I am the servant. So by cherishing that attitude, you don't feel egoistic. And sometimes, that's why it is telling, according to whatever temperament, according to whatever way you are approaching God, so you must have slight adjustment in your attitude towards Him. So that way you must be able to make your ego subservient. Your little ego must be kept at the lotus feet of the Lord. And Swami Vivekananda tells in one of his talks that if the ego has to remain, you expand that ego. so that you can envelop the whole world. Expansion. You see, that is not to be judged by the people. The worldly people judge in so many ways. And the outcome of it is we can know only afterwards. For example, Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, the consort of Sri Ramakrishna, he also heard people criticizing and talking. Sri Ramakrishna has become mad like that, and she became worried. Then she thought, I am his life's partner. It's my duty to serve him when he is in need of it. So I should not stay here. I must immediately go and serve him. So she literally ran, actually. She walked through the whole distance. She went to Dakshineshwar. She found and she lived with him, and she found to her amazement Sri Ramakrishna was the embodiment of love and kindness and affection, and there is nothing that kind of madness which people are calling. It's all simply criticism, because they don't understand the spiritual revolution going on in Sri Ramakrishna's personality. What do those ordinary people understand? They view the things from seeing externally. Because Sri Ramakrishna was weeping, crying, uttering the name of the mother, so people thought he is mad. And he was not aware of the outward things. He was always thinking, repeating mother's name, so they called him mad. So let them call mad. And Sri Ramakrishna himself tells in one of his teachings in the Gospel, he says, I am all the time thinking about God, they call me mad. They are all the time thinking about the world. Are they mad or am I mad? Like that. No, transplanting stage is really difficult, there is no doubt. But when a plant is transplanted, it takes some time for the roots to go in. So that during that time it becomes so weak, and it needs lot of attention, care, etc. Then it goes up nicely. So the transition period, even though it is very difficult, will have to be passed through by everybody. There is no doubt about it. And clashes need not be there. If we are open to reasons, we shall reason out, at the same time remain calm. That is the attitude we should have. So that is the meaning of discrimination, vichara shakti. We will reason out, and then this spiritual unfoldment takes clearly when we are determined. So whatever may be the influence we are facing with, if we have firm conviction and clarity of ideas, and we know definitely we are on the right track, it's only a question of time. We don't know what are the impurities are in my mind. They are all showing up. They are all coming up to the surface. In so many ways they come up. All this time we were not observing those things, so we felt as if we are comfortable. But it is an illusion. The real comfort we can have only in realization of God. Until then, whatever comfort you may have it's all not to be considered as a real comfort at all. So, spiritual practice we must keep on doing, as I told in my comments. If you sit for meditation for 15 minutes, at least for some time, for a few minutes, if you are able to think of God in those 15 minutes, that's a good gain. So like that only shows how far the mind has gone down and how we should raise that mind to that level. And at the same time, if we rely upon God, surrendering to Him and praying to Him, doing our spiritual practices, whatever little way we are doing, do it honestly, sincerely. How to know that we are doing sincerely, honestly? Whenever you do spiritual practices, even little, if they give you some kind of satisfaction, that means you are doing correctly. Of course, I have to go to the office, I have to run through. But oh Lord, I have been able to do only this much. Please protect me, guide me, make me free from all the impurities. Like that, you wholeheartedly pray to Him, and then you go to the work. Then you feel how you remain calm with that feeling. You have done your duty, the spiritual responsibility, what I mean to say. You have done your duty, you have prayed to God, and then you are ready, you are facing everything nicely. So, even with remembering God, without remembering God, you have to face the world. Why not remember God and then face the world, instead of facing the world not remembering God? That's the way. Struggles will be there. Nobody is free from struggles. And we have to get results only through struggles. You must not forget that point. Results come only through struggles. That's the meaning of effort. That's what we say, Purushakar, Prayatna. We keep on doing things, keep on correcting ourselves, rectifying ourselves, self-judgment. More and more self-judgment. Every day I must judge myself. Not looking others, but looking into myself. More and more, more and more, more and more. The more we look, the more the dirt is taken out. Because we are not looking inside, the dirt is accumulated. Looking inside means taking more interest in spiritual practices, means looking inside. Somehow we must try to develop taste for spiritual practices. So, that's the only way. That's the only way. Surrender to God and carry on the things without shaking ourselves. Why should we shake? We reason out. Why should there be clash? We talk about, let us talk, let us try to arrive at the conclusion. So we must rise above all these things. So rising above likes and dislikes, that is the ideal. Na dveshti, na shochati, na kankshati, Bhagavan says. So we must rise to that level. So these are the areas which are giving us training to rise above that. We know we are passing to the fire. If you know you are passing to the fire, you know how to go through. If you are not aware of it, you get burned yourself. So that's the idea. So living the spiritual life means consciously you are aware of what you are doing the things. So that makes lot of difference. Makes lot of difference. And it is true, constant association with spiritual people, constant reading of the spiritual texts, all these have immense value. Immense value. I know, say for example, we have got a monastery. Throughout Ramakrishna mission everywhere we have got ashramas. People come and join as brahmacharis. Do you think as soon as they join they have got 100% renunciation? But the place is suitable for practicing it. You can't practice renunciation in the nightclub. Even if you want to, you can't. So, what is monastery? It provides you suitable environment, proper stage for you. You must make efforts. If you come and stay in the ashram and not do japa, not sleep over whole night, sleep whole day, whole night, and simply wander your life like that, then you are wasting your life. That's all. That you would have done even in living in the world also. So, place is meant, all the facilities are given, we have to develop yourself. That initial liking must be there. You come with deep interest, you become serious, then everything will be wonderful. Your renunciation will become perfect, you become strong, you become more and more strong. As you grow older, you become more strong. That is the way. There is no shortcut in the spiritual life. It's a long way. Yes. Any question? First of all, we should know what is our conception about God. If you maintain duality, if you maintain you are Marian and there is somebody else to look after, so you can look after that divine spirit as some other person, and accordingly you can direct your spiritual practices to have his vision. Suppose you are having Holy Mother as your object of meditation. God realization means you must have the vision of Holy Mother, because Holy Mother is a personification of purity and perfection. And Sri Ramakrishna himself has said Holy Mother is nothing but Goddess Saraswati, Goddess Lakshmi. She is the Maya, Mahamaya. She is the power of the universe. So Sri Ramakrishna himself is telling. So you are adoring, you are worshipping that power. So we are individuals, we are passing through so many difficulties. So if we connect ourselves to that divine source, by meditating on that divine being, by constantly dwelling the mind on that, you get at the proper time, when everything is set, you will get the vision of Mother and you will be able to communicate with her. As Sri Ramakrishna would talk to Mother Kali, he would talk every day, and it was very real to him. So he would see God everywhere and he would see God in everybody. That is the vision of God realization. If a person says, I have realized God, that means he must love everybody. That is the meaning of realization of God. He can't discriminate between this man and that man. No. He loves everybody. That's the characteristic of realized person. And he is always cheerful, always peaceful, always blissful. They are the indications. So if you are getting those features in yourself, that means you are realized soul. When a person comes and sees a Mahatma, immediately they become so happy. Oh, it is nice to see him. They simply rush to see him, to have his darshan. Why? As soon as they see him, they feel so happy. That is a divine quality. So you will be able to manifest the divine qualities in yourself. That is the indication of realization of God. Just like before the sunrise, Arunodaya, the twilight comes. When the twilight is there, the sunrise is imminent. Any moment it may come. Like that, when your mind is pure and set properly, God vision is immediate. Once you get into that, then all the problems are just melted down. The whole thing, you are convinced that the whole thing is nothing but a dream. You are not bothered about the dream. In dream I saw a tiger. That's all. You are not frightened by it. It's a dream. You know it's a dream, so you are not frightened. In the same way, a realized person knows this waking state is dream. That is a Turiya state. One is Jagrat Avastha, that is, I am conscious of this world. Another is Sukshma Avastha, subtle, astral body. That is the dream state. Then comes the Turiya state. Transcending above these states is a Turiya state. If a man has got realization, then he will know the whole thing is like a dream. It is not a myth. He knows very surely about that. That's the way. Alright, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, down deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who steelest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.